Hey, yo, what up? Welcome back. This is not a podcast. You already know what it is. It's just my thoughts with Rob Markman. Shout out to everybody who is liking, subscribing, commenting, just engaging, being part of this community. If you aren't liking, subscribing, commenting, what are you doing? Nah, man, definitely though. We appreciate the love. We're back. Kendrick Lamar, GNX album. Still a whole lot to discuss. Like I said, we're just going through tracks. If y'all been following me, I've been breaking down specific tracks one at a time. We'll see if we'll do the whole album. I just want to make sure I have things to say about each track. To get to the current news, though, Kendrick Lamar has the number one album in the country with 319,000 sold due to the streaming sales equivalent conversion out of that 319. 32,000 of those were pure sales. For example, I bought off of iTunes. I also bought the vinyl. I don't think the vinyl counted because it was a pre-sale. I could be wrong. I could absolutely be wrong. I wonder if the vinyl counted, but I did buy off of iTunes as I do with albums that I love. I just do a direct purchase off of iTunes, so those count towards the pure sales. Also, Kendrick has 7 out of the top 10 songs in the Billboard Hot 100. Squabble Up is number 1. TV Off is at number 2. Luther is at number 3. Whacked Out Murals is at number 4. Hey Now is at number 5. Reincarnated is at number 8. And Man at the Garden, the song that we're gonna be discussing today, is at number 9. So it's where we at, man. And I just want to say too, real quick. I'm just looking at my phone for notes, but I just want to say, and I stand by this. Numbers don't determine for me, and for a lot of us, I know numbers don't determine how we feel about the album, the quality of the album. So this is, to me, this is just the accolades, the result of making a really dope album, and a lot of artists who make really dope albums don't get these type of numbers and stuff like that. But numbers are important because we are in the music business, but numbers aren't important in terms of determining music and the quality of music. So I just want to say that because I know that's always a discussion. It's like, oh, we don't care about numbers, or why do you care about numbers, or you only care about numbers when it's not Kendrick and not the other guy and not. This isn't a side thing. I'm just reporting the numbers to y'all. The fact of the matter is that I think those of us who really enjoy this album, which is a lot of people in hip hop, determined that we liked the album before we saw what it streamed, where it charted, or anything. Like, we heard it, was like, oh wow, this is dope, and then you continue to support it, and then this is a result of that. So anyway, I want to talk about another track, Man at the Garden. I did one on Whacked Out Murals. I did one. What was the other record that I did? I'm bugging out now, man. It was a long weekend. I hope everybody had a good weekend. I did Whacked Out Murals, so you can check that video out, and I did Squabble Up. And today I want to talk about Man at the Garden. Definitely still want to talk about The Heart Part 6. Definitely want to talk about Reincarnated. So those will be coming up. And I've also been listening to Sky Zoo's new album, and I've been listening to Cordae's new album. So, during this week, I'm going to do a video just about other stuff that I've been listening to as well, for those that want to see that. But so yeah, Man at the Garden, produced by Soundwave, Jack Antonoff, N-Tech, Tyler Reese, and Craig Balmorris. Just wanted to shout out the community too, because last video in Squabble Up, we were talking about Jack Antonoff and Soundwave's connection, and Jack Antonoff's connection to Kendrick, and there's a real deep connection that I was unaware of between Soundwave and Jack Antonoff. I know they work together on Taylor albums, but they actually there's a deeper connection between them. So shout out to the community, shout out to people in the comments who y'all put me on this stuff too, and I appreciate that. I don't sit up here like I know everything. All right, so Man at the Garden. The track is calm, it's subtle. The thing that stands out on first listen to me is how much it sounds like Nas's One Mic. The original was produced by the late great Chucky Thompson, rest in peace. Unbelievable, one of Nas's most powerful and beloved tracks. Now, I don't believe that this is a sample, and I haven't got my hands on the sample credit yet. There's a few samples I inquired about, and I just didn't get the answers back to that yet. I feel like this album came out very sudden, and even for the label over at Interscope, so they're still gathering like the administrative things, is what I believe. But it doesn't sound like a sample to me. And it may not even technically be an interpolation, meaning that, because really the drum pattern, just a one-to-one just replayed over again is what an interpolation would be. I'm not 100% sure, but you can hear the inspiration for Nas's One Mic. Nas even posted Kendrick and said, that he was inspired by Kendrick, and he used Man at the Garden as the backing track. So even Nas picks up on this. This is a very purposeful inspiration to Nas's One Mic. There are a few moments that remind me of Nas on the album, right? On the whole GNX album. Reincarnated, though it's clearly Pac inspired with the sample, has Nas like depth to me, and obviously Kendrick like depth. First of all, it's all Kendrick. The headline, this is all Kendrick, but there's things as a hip hop fan that is like reminiscent. Gloria, and I talked about Gloria too. Gloria was another track that I talked about. Gloria does this thing that personifies inanimate, objects. Gloria is Kendrick talking about his love for his pen, but the song is designed as if he's talking about his love for a woman, and that's like what Nas did on "I Gave You Power" when he rapped from the perspective of gun, or like Pac did on "Me and My Girlfriend" when he rapped about like being in love with his gun. Shout out to Pharoah Monch and Organized Confusion for "Stray Bullet" too. They had, even before Nas and Pac, rapped about life as the perspective of a bullet. Dope song, Underground. I wonder if Kendrick even ever heard that song. But, I Gave You Power, Me and My Girlfriend, especially because those came out like similar times. Me and My Girlfriend came out in 97 after Pac died. I Gave You Power came out in 96 on It Was Written. And even when Pac dropped Me and My Girlfriend, there was a lot of talk about the similarities between the two songs at the time, because they came out roughly around the same time, maybe less than a year apart. But then Nas also gave us One Mic. So just talking about what feels like Nas on this album, or Nas inspiration or influence, or just the universes colliding, whatever you want to call it. Nas gave us One Mic on Stillmatic. All right, Man at the Garden sounds like One Mic, is reminiscent of One Mic. Nas gave us One Mic on Stillmatic. That was the album that Nas dropped after he earned the W against Jay-Z in their classic battle. So here Kendrick is on the first album after he earned the W against Drake and their classic battle, and he's pulling a bit from Nas's playbook, right? So also on Whack Down Murals, Kendrick acknowledged that Nas was the only one to congratulate him after he got the Super Bowl halftime, after it was announced that he'd be the performer. So I don't know if there's a real connection between, like, I don't know if Nas and Kendrick are like hanging out all the time, or if they're like in the studio, or if Kendrick is calling Nas. I don't know how many times or how often they talk, but Dot's a student of the game, so I'm sure he absorbed some of what Nas is doing at some point, and I'm sure he's a fan. Also, shout out to Ant Soleil. He's managing Kendrick now, and he's also Nas's longtime manager. That's who Dot referenced in 616 in LA when he said, "Ain't no brownie points for beating your chest, harassing Ant, fucking with good people, make good people go to bat." If you remember, during the battle, Drake was trolling and posting pictures of Ant. Ant is a longtime manager of Nas. He's now part of Kendrick's team, so there's a connection there too. But again, I don't know how close Kendrick, or how often Kendrick and Nas are connecting, but obviously being a student of the game, like, how can you not be inspired by Nas? So, back to the record though, Man at the Garden. As far as the depth goes, I feel like for the most part, Kendrick says everything he needs to say on the surface of this record. Like, there isn't too much to decode here as far as Kendrick records go, right? Like, there's always another layer of meaning. There's always intent and something deeper behind all the Kendrick's records. But comparing Kendrick to Kendrick, like, there's not a ton to dig beneath the surface. Kendrick kind of just says it very upfront. And with the key theme, the repeated phrase in this song being, "I deserve it all." Like, a lot of this, like, this is like the victory lap. This is after the battle, after all the work that he's put in for all the years, after all the questions, and he answered in it, and he's saying, "I deserve it all." So I think the garden is maybe a biblical religious reference. Again, I'm not 100% sure. I always say you have to ask Kendrick what his intent was, but that's what I get out of it. But verse 1 starts off, twice emotional stability of sound body and tranquility. I deserve it all. Like minds and less enemies, stock investment, more entities. The song is so calm, and this is really Dot reflecting after this battle, after what he's been through, after everything that he's fought for, everything that he's built. I'm assuming he did this song after the battle. Assumption, because I don't really know when he started this album and when it finished. A lot of this is in reaction to the aftermath of what we've seen between him and Drake. But when was the idea for this song planted? When was the seed planted? We don't exactly know. But this feels like Dot really reflecting after the battle that he's been through. Then there's a part in here that kind of reminds me of Reincarnated when he says, "I deserve it all, like minds and less enemies." Really peaceful, right? Peaceful and calm, especially after what we just seen. And it kind of reminds me of Reincarnated when he's talking to God and he says, I'm trying to push peace in LA. And God says, "But you love war." And Kendrick says, "No, I don't." "Oh, yes, you do." And of course, this is Kendrick, and we'll get into Reincarnated, but that's Kendrick also playing the role of the fallen angel of Lucifer and things of that nature. But that "I deserve it all, like minds and less enemies" feels like the duality of Kendrick, the calmful peace side that we see. Hey man, I just want like minds, less enemies. Like I deserve that. Like there's a part that just doesn't take a lot of joy in this conflict, it seems, but he's ready to do it, and he's ready to do what needs to be done. So it's the duality. It's him saying he doesn't want the enemies, he doesn't want to be in conflict. And then there's references to diamonds and more material things in this. The GNX, the actual car, the Grand National, a material possession, which he based the album off of. Just to illustrate, Kendrick isn't above these desires either. I think a lot of people think that I think we place Kendrick on this pedestal of a lot of rappers, and just in rap and hip hop is very aspirational. And we talk about the things that we want, and we kind of place Kendrick on this pedestal as if he's above that, but he's of it. If you're of hip hop culture, that's a part of it. So yeah, he wants the VVS diamonds, he wants the Grand National, like there's certain material trappings that you work hard, so you work hard for these things, right? I'm gonna go verse 2. I'm not gonna go through every lyric. He says, because the hook ends, "I deserve it all." And he starts off, "Cause my intentions were pure, even when you wasn't sure, even with every allure, how much temptation you endure, you probably look for every cure. I said, I deserve it all." Kendrick raps about temptation a lot. It's just a recurring theme throughout all of his music. I automatically get reminded here of the push and pull on "To Pimp a Butterfly," and specifically for Sale, when he meets Lucy, when he meets, Lucifer. So that push and pull, that even with every allure, how much temptation you endured. It's a theme if you listen to Kendrick's music. So I think a lot of this is called back again, and we talk about this as post battle, but even post battle with Drake, it's like post everything that I've been through to get to this point. And then he just talks about his discipline, right? Why do you deserve it all? I'm waking up at 6 a.m., 6 miles a day, conditioning my win. I said, I deserve it all. I'm showing up as your friend, telling truths better than your next of kin. I said, I deserve it all. I never asked for too much credit, seeking validation just for the aesthetics, bitch. I deserve it all. I never asked for too much credit. We don't hear from Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? Like he drops the album and he goes, "I never asked for too much credit." Even after like the Macklemore thing, when Macklemore won the Grammy above Kendrick for Good Kid, Mad City, and Macklemore won it for The Heist, and then Macklemore showed the text message from Kendrick, and Macklemore's guilt for winning. Like, Kendrick didn't sit up there and complain, like seeking validation, like he doesn't. Kendrick just opened his mouth. Somebody go give him a Grammy right now. He is a darling in that way. I mean, he won a Pulitzer. He's winning Grammys. He gets the awards, but he's never expressed that those are like super important to him. So, seeking validation is just for the aesthetics, bitch. I deserve it all. I see you as a human first, even when you didn't understand your worth, bitch. I deserve it all. It's innate to mind my business, writing words, trying to elevate these children. Innate to mind my business. We don't hear him weigh in on things in this era where, rappers are on social media and they weigh in on everything. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just the era that we're in, or shit, even me, I fire up the camera every time and I weigh in on things. It's innate to mind my business. Like Kendrick is just quiet. We don't hear from him. Writing words, trying to elevate these children. That's why I deserve it all. Pray for those who prayed against me. Every reason why my ancestors sent me. Bitch, I deserve it all. When my ancestors sent me reminds me again of Reincarnated, and how Kendrick tells the story of how he's come back multiple times. He's been reincarnated as these different types of musicians through the eras. And now he's saying he's sent by the ancestors. It's just showing that Kendrick believes that he's connected to a higher power, that he has a purpose, that there's a responsibility even greater than him, and that he's living in it. So again, I don't think it's like too deep. That there's somebody who might see a way deeper connection than that. but it's a reinforcing theme of what we hear. So then the third verse is when the Nas One Mic comparisons really come in, because for the most part, Kendrick remains calm throughout this whole song. And during the third verse, like maybe halfway during the third verse, he builds up and then he just turns up. Now, the difference is in One Mic, Nas started verse 1 and verse 2. He started both of those verses calm and then turned up his energy towards the end of those verses. If you go listen back to Nas One Mic, which I highly recommend, you can see Nas starts off very calm, almost in a whisper, and he turns up towards the middle and the end of verse 1, and the same thing towards the middle and the end of verse 2. And then on verse 3 of One Mic, Nas starts off turned up. Like he's all the way turned up at the beginning of verse 3, and then he calms himself down and brings the song to a calm. So there's this kind of like roller coaster thing happening on Nas's One Mic. And Man at the Garden, there's a difference in between, like, Kendrick remains calm in verse 1 throughout, remains calm in verse 2 throughout, starts verse 3 calm, and then turns up towards the middle and the end of verse 3. The whole song for Kendrick in a lot of ways is a steady build. And it's just a subtle difference. And, I wonder if even, again, that was intentional, or, you start out with this idea, okay, we're going to kind of do a One Mic thing, but I'm going to do it my way. And this is just the way it turns out. Like, Kendrick might not even notice that build happens towards the end of the difference between him and Nas's version. I don't think he was trying to make a 1-to-1, but they captured the sound and the feeling, and he said, hey, I'm going to go with this and express myself. That's what I think happened. So verse 3 starts, put a smile on my mama, good health and good karma. Yeah, she deserves it all. So now it's not even about I deserve it all. It's about my mama deserves it all. Later he gets into the we deserve it all, and his kids and his family, and he's building outside of himself, and the song is building to that. But put a smile on my mama, good health and good karma. Yeah, she deserves it all. 100 murals out in Compton. Remember me, I kept my promise. I wonder if Remember Me, I Kept My Promise is a callback to Sing About Me from Good Kid, Mad City. And then again, this goes to intention. Did Kendrick intend for that to be a callback to Sing About Me? Might be a stretch. Might not be what he intended. But for me, when he says, remember me, I kept my promise, brings me right back to Sing About Me. Personally, as a fan, brings me right back. Like, as soon as I heard that, I'm like, oh, Sing About Me. Like, and Kendrick kept his promise to sing about his community. If you remember that song, that's a beloved song. That's one of Kendrick's greatest songs in his discography. Promise that you will sing about me. For people who aren't here, for people who can't tell their own story, Kendrick continues to tell the story about the people where he's from. So let me know in the comments if I'm the only one. But when I heard that, it made me think of Sing About Me. And it'll be interesting if that's what he intended. But that's the feeling that it conjured up. And that's why they put murals up about you, right? When you're loved in your community, especially when you're alive. A lot of people don't get murals until they pass away, but Kendrick is clearly beloved and a living legend. But that's why they put murals up about you. 100 murals out in Compton, and if one of them get defaced, cool. 100 murals, I got there's 99 more. You know what I'm saying? I also want to come back and admit that I was wrong in the Whacked Out Murals video. I was absolutely wrong. I thought dude wrote OVO on the mural in that video of the guy defacing the Kendrick's mural. It looked like an O and a V to me, and then he went into something else which kind of looked like an O. A couple of folks in the comments said, nah, particularly from the West, was like, nah, that's like a rival gang situation, and it wasn't OVO, it was some other thing. So I was wrong in that, and my apologies. And that's the dope thing about this too. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I'm gonna get everything 100% right, or I'm the know-it-all and the end-all and be-all. There are absolutely things that I believe in, that I will stand on. But I learned from y'all too in the comments, so I appreciate y'all. So the verse is calm. Kendrick talks about his kids, and changes, the I deserve it all to a we before he starts to turn up. And he's like, keep these bitches away from me. Keep all my blessings faithfully. Keep my essence contagious. That's okay with me. I burn this bitch down. Don't you play with me or stay with me. I'm crashing out right now. No one's safe with me. Again, I talk about this. I've said, my theory is that Kendrick is in his villain era, or at the very least in his anti-hero era. You know what I'm saying? I will burn this bitch down. It is I believe Kendrick is community focused. I believe Kendrick is building towards the right things other than himself, building for people around him. but I will burn this bitch down. There's something sinister in what's going on here. This, especially this battle, this side of Kendrick we saying it ain't no kumbaya. It's whatever he's saying. I will do what's necessary to fight for what I believe in. So I will burn this bitch down. Again, I call it his villain era. Anti-hero era is probably more appropriate, but we'll see. And then he says, I did it with integrity, and niggas still try to hate on me. Just wait and see. More blood be spilling. It's just paint on me. Now, that could be a reference to J. Cole, Puerto Antonio. Cole said, I pulled the plug because I seen where that was about to go. They wanted blood. They wanted clicks to make their pockets grow. And I talked about that. Now, whether Kendrick meant for this to be a direct connection to Cole's line or not, it illustrates how they both view the beef, right? Again, and I always talk about intention. Kendrick may not intentionally have been referencing Cole, but I believe there is a connection here, whether intended or not, because it illustrates how they both view the beef. And I feel like Cole, I've said this, the possibility of real life violence is always there. And we never want to see it happen. This is rap beef. We don't never want to see this spill out into a situation where somebody's getting hurt in real life. But someone got shot at Drake's crib in Toronto during all of this. Someone got shot at Cash's crib in LA during all of this. Now, neither of these incidents had anything to do with Kendrick. Had nothing to do with Kendrick. But you just never know. Like even if the possibility is slim, it can go there, and that slim chance is still probably too big of a chance. So, and I don't believe that Kendrick wanted this to go violent either, but he's aware of it, that it can go. Because even on Whacked Out Murals, he says, if that money got in the hands of a crash dummy, could jeopardize my family and burden the ones who love me. So Kendrick is aware of what the potential risks are, like how bad this can go. And, but still, the purpose of this song, and for the purpose of this song and Kendrick's feelings when creating this, the blood spilling is just paint to me. It's fucked up. But in the context, he's desensitized to it in a way that Cole isn't, in a way that most of us aren't. It speaks to how dialed in Kendrick is, at least emotionally, and the length that he's willing to go. More blood be spilling. It's just paint to me. I'm used to this. I'm dialed in. I'm ready for whatever comes. They hate on me. Just wait and see. More blood be spilling. It's just paint to me. And I believe that's metaphoric. I believe that's figurative. But Kendrick is also tells us at another point on this album, he's aware of how left this can go. Like, it isn't totally out of the question. And so those two lines, J. Cole and Kendrick, just shows their feelings around both things. You know what I'm saying? And for Cole, it's too much. And for most people, it's too much. Most people, you know what? Y'all got it. I'm good. Kendrick is like, nah, it's just paint to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? And he goes on, dangerously, nothing changed with me. Still got pain in me. Flip a coin, want the shameless me or the famous me? The two sides of Kendrick. The famous me that everybody loves, the perception of Kendrick, the we gonna be all right, the healer, the one who brings people together, or the villain, or this anti-hero, or the wartime Kendrick, the one who was willing to just take it all the way there. You know what I'm saying? Like I would drag you to hell with me. So, man, you want the shameless me or the famous me? It's just him talking about his duality. And then comes the proclamation at the end of the song. How annoying does it anger me to know that the lames can speak on the origins of the game I breathe? That's insane to me. It's important. I deserve it all because it's mine. Tell me why you think you deserve the greatest of all time. Motherfucker. He asked, why do you think you deserve the greatest of all time? I think speaking to, these other MCs, these other rappers. Have you put in what I put in? Do you represent what I represent, what I believe is right? Are you willing to go the lengths that I go? And more directly, possibly speaking to Drake. Why do you think you deserve the greatest of all time? Sounds like, and he's asking, it's in the question, but it also sounds like he's making a proclamation to himself. Like, I could just envision him with a crown on in this very moment, you know what I'm saying, in the record. So it's interesting. And again, I don't think these are disses. I don't think these are like anything to be worried about, but it's part of the victory lap of this album. He knows what he put in. He knows what he deserves. and this is where he's at. So that's my thought on the record. You know what I'm saying? I want to talk with y'all in the comments. Y'all might see things that I didn't see. Like, have at it, go for it. Like let's discuss this. But definitely love the Nas, the feeling of Nas that it conjures up. And you know, we talk about Nas and we talk about inspiration, but Kendrick is his own man, and he made this song his own, and this moment is his own. So to get insight on his feelings right now and where he's at, I think is dope too, and that's what's dope about this album. I saw a video of Yo. Shout out to Yo, my guy, had made a great point. He said that this is probably the most present that Kendrick's been in any of his albums. A lot of it is storytelling, reflecting, telling us backstory. Good Kid, Mad City was a backstory. To Pimp a Butterfly was recollecting and telling us about his travels overseas, particularly in Africa, and then things were going on back home, and the guilt and the survivor's guilt that he felt. You know, Mr. Morale was a lot of reflecting, and you know, Damn, I got to think about where Damn stands, but Yo has said that this felt like his most present project. Like, he is in the moment. We are in the moment with him, and it's starting to make me think. I didn't quite. I felt it. I feel 100% what he said, but I wasn't able to articulate it like that. And when he did that, I'm like, oh, he hit the nail on the head. So shout out to my man Yo. But yeah, that's it. That's what I think. So let me know what y'all think. Hit me in the comments, like, subscribe, do all of that. Until next time. All right, peace.